Hey guys, I'm Alex. A quick disclaimer before I start. Throughout these videos, we're going to be talking a lot about mental health and the symptoms associated with it. And these videos are in no way meant to be diagnostic, so please don't try and self-diagnose yourself. If you do notice some negative feelings or the things that we're talking about in you, there's plenty of resources on campus as well as off campus you can go to. The BYU CAPS website is a great place. They've got information about mental health, mindfulness exercises, and you can also set up an appointment with a campus counselor. And the Intermountain Healthcare website also has got information about mental health, and they've also got a hotline you can call. It's 833-442-2211 in case you were wondering. But with that out of the way, I decided to focus my research on how COVID-19 has positively affected college students. And what I found was that there was no one that was only positively affected. Everyone experienced some negative feelings, but it was how those students reacted to those feelings that determined whether they were happy later or not, and kind of the more long-term happiness. So what I found was that there was a study conducted among college students, and it was found that 1/3 of the students interviewed used adaptive coping mechanisms. So what that looks like is mindfulness, breathing exercises, meditation. And it was found that people who walked around their home more during this time experienced greater feelings of positivity, whereas the other 2/3 used more maladaptive coping mechanisms and they experienced greater feelings of negativity. And in addition to this research, I also went ahead and interviewed some of my friends to see what their takes was on it, and I found some pretty interesting things. The answers ranged from it was nice to have time to do personal enjoyment, their lives kind of slowed down and things were more simple. They were able to spend time, doing like kind of personal projects. One of my buddies he said he was way more productive. But the one common theme I found from interviewing my peers was that they were all able to increase or better develop those family relationships. So I know I was able to do this personally. I grew a lot closer with my siblings as well as my parents over quarantine. And I think the fact that everyone said it kind of demonstrates an important lesson. And that's in times of like trouble or stress, during it, it can be pretty tough to focus on some of the good and be grateful. But as I was talking to people, they were all able to look back and find one good thing that happened to them. And so I think instead of having to look back and find the good, we can focus on the good while we're among the trial, and we'll be able to get through it much better.
For my project, I randomly selected every second student who was walking in the quad at BYU and asked them, would you say that COVID has had an overall positive effect, negative effect, or had no effect on your mental health? Out of the 100 students I surveyed, 8% said COVID had a positive effect on their mental health, 53% said it had a negative effect on their mental health, and 39% said it had no effect, or the positive and negative effects evened out. Here are a few personal testimonies of college students on how their mental health was affected by the COVID-19 virus.
Overall, I'd say COVID at first had a pretty negative effect on my mental health, but as time's gone on and as we've been in this pandemic longer, it's slowly shifted to a positive effect, I'd say, on my mental health.
COVID has had a positive effect on my mental health because I've been able to stay home and develop relationships with my family.
COVID overall had a neutral effect on my mental health because I both enjoyed spending time with my family, but I also missed a little bit of seeing friends and people outside of my family.
Although online schooling has been an option since 1989, it has never been required and it was not super common. Over the past few years, there have been more and more online schooling options, though it was still more common to go in person. At the beginning of 2020, everyone was told that school would be going online for a foreseeable future because of the global pandemic. When the pandemic hit, many people suffered mentally when we all had to transition to online school. Science Direct said, post-traumatic anxiety and depression disorders are expected during the aftermath of a pandemic. Some groups, like children, have a greater susceptibility to having long-term consequences in mental health. Not only did some people gain mental illnesses, but many also got worse. The mental health charity said that the people with mental illness history, over half got worse, and about a quarter said that they were not able to seek support because everything closed down, which was not helpful. Although we're not in the UK where this study took place, it still applies to us here. For those that did not previously have mental illnesses, some signs that could potentially be one is constant mood changes. That's kind of being bipolar, but your mood changing can mean so many different things, so don't self-diagnose. Another sign is depression. When we were put into quarantine, many people lost their social aspect. School has always been a social place that many people thrived in. For those that are extroverts, the transition from seeing people every day to not seeing people hit hard, which caused people depression, being lonely. Not only did it hit hard for our social lives, but many people also missed out on previous arrangements, such as track seasons and other sports, and other previously arranged things for the seniors. They missed their senior prom, senior graduation, and for the college kids, they also missed their college graduation. After things opened up, many people returned to normal, though some people still found themselves struggling with mental illnesses and issues. If this is you, I encourage you to reach out to the right people and receive help. Do not self-diagnose from this video.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm going to go over a few ways to cope with the negative effects of the pandemic, namely anxiety, depression, and stress. And 3 of the resources that I've tested are just meditation methods. The first method is called the clenching method, where you start from your head and you tense all your face muscles, your nose, your lips, your ears, and you tense it all. And then you move to your shoulders and go all the way down your body, one at a time. And then you just think about what you're feeling, your surroundings, and just all your senses. And I found that to be really effective of a quick release for stress. A way that I found to get better sleep and to avoid the negative effects of depression is through sleep meditation. And you can look it up online, you can find different kinds of guides that will walk you through, just kind of a mind story to get your mind relaxed and just deep breathing to get you calm and ready to go to bed and get that recovery you need and get that extra sleep. And those are 2 of the best resources you can use if you feel that you have stress or anxiety and depression. I would recommend seeing a professional at that point if you have any serious questions about that.
Hello, my name is Matt Perks, and my section of the project is about how COVID has affected the social life of college students and the repercussions that may have on their mental health. All aspects of our life were dramatically disrupted by this global pandemic. However, our social life was completely thrown off. Many people were unable to see many close friends or family members for months at a time. This was really hard on the mental health of society and college students in general. So there was one online survey that conducted on the general population in China that found college students are more likely to experience stress, anxiety, and depression than others during the pandemic. College is already stressful enough, and trying to navigate that through a pandemic can be quite exhausting. Throughout the pandemic, 74.9% of young adults aged 18 to 24 experienced one or more mental or behavioral health symptoms. It's crazy to me that so many of our peers are going through mental health struggles because of COVID. Many people expressed that they did not know where they could turn for help, mental health resources especially, throughout the pandemic. And there are many resources available to those who are struggling with any sort of mental health challenge. And here are just a couple of the great resources we have available. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Mental Health America, Network of Care, American Association of Suicidology, Attention Deficit Disorder Association, Emotions Anonymous, Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health, Narcotics Anonymous, Obsessive Compulsive Foundation, Self-Mutilators Anonymous, Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And those are just a couple of the many resources we have available to us. And I encourage you to reach out to your loved ones or any of these groups if you feel like you have any mental health symptoms. And the pandemic has made it hard for all of us to have the same kind of social interactions that keep us going. Not having in-person classes has totally changed the dynamic of the college experience. Many colleges have set strict rules to help protect students from the virus. Unfortunately, that means that many of the social activities were canceled in an effort to stop the spread of the virus. This pandemic has created a lot of stress among college students, but thankfully there are many great ways to relieve stress. So the CDC recommends some healthy ways to cope with stress. They said to know what to do if you are sick, know where and how to get treatment, take care of your emotional health, take breaks from the news, take care of your body, make time to unwind, connect with others, connect with your community or faith organization. And those are just a couple of the wonderful ways that we can help relieve stress. And another way that I found through personal experience throughout the pandemic that has helped me is through mindfulness-based techniques to help decrease stress and improve your overall well-being. This pandemic has been hard on everyone, but especially college students. We can make it through this pandemic as long as we all support each other and reach out when we need help.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Poland, and I'm making this video as part of our group project to talk about COVID and its effects on the mental health of the elderly and of adolescents or college students. And I specifically focus on isolation and its effects on mental health, especially for those who already have mental health conditions. I live with multiple people who struggle with mental health. I myself struggle with mental health, and I talk to my mom a lot about it, who works with kids who have disabilities and struggles. And particularly when I was talking to my mom, something that she talked a lot about is students who have COVID are really, really struggling to, without any source of communication, without any source of people to talk to, people to interact with. She's had a student who committed suicide, and people are just retreating into themselves when they have mental illnesses because it's hard enough for them to be able to reach out. So it was really cool to be able to look at like this particular circumstance, having COVID. It's not just the only way people feel isolated. Mental health tends to isolate people, and with the enforced staying inside, it just makes things even worse. So I think that the most effective way to help to combat it, and the most effective thing that I've seen when I was quarantined myself, when I've heard other people be quarantined, is to find other ways to communicate, reach out through social media, reach out through technology, find ways to help others to find some sort of stability, some sort of safety. And if you know somebody who's struggling with mental health during this quarantine, COVID, pandemic, this hard time, find ways to communicate with them, because otherwise their mental health will just get worse and things will just get harder and harder for them. And that's it.